Okay, welcome back to Learn Russian with Learn Russian. We are up to lesson 22. So you can see it's called nouns and adjectives, masculine and neuter in all cases. So we've learned all the 6 cases in Russian, and now it's time to do a little bit more practice. I think there's not too much new in this lesson. It's more like a review, kind of bringing together everything that we've seen before. And you can see the way the lessons do these things is we have 2 lessons here about masculine and neuter nouns, because the forms for them tend to be similar. There are some differences, but they tend to be fairly similar. And then down here we have feminine nouns and things because they use markedly different forms. So masculine and neuter are not the same, but they're similar enough that it made sense to group them into the same lessons. So let's go ahead and get started. So lesson 22. Yeah, so we'll see things about constructions like «Это новый дом», «У меня нет нового дома», and so on. Yeah, I'm not gonna dwell on stuff here too long, partly because this is already stuff that we've learned. This is it's partly a review and partly an exercise to kind of bring things together. But also, this lesson is kind of long. It seems deceptively short because it has only 7 exercises in it, but some of these exercises have several parts. Like you can see exercise 4 actually has 4 parts in it, so it's not one exercise, it's more like 4 exercises in one. And similarly up here, yeah, this one has 3 parts, and then this one has 5 parts. Well, each of the 5 is just one question, but so I'm not sure how long this is going to go on for, but let's get started. So here we have a dialogue, and for once we're not filling in the blanks. Instead, after the dialogue, we have 5 questions, 5 multiple choice questions that we have to answer. So let's just listen through and then see where things take us.
Эрика, слушай, у меня проблема. У меня есть 2 друга. Один высокий, красивый, спортивный блондин. Он работает инструктором по фитнесу. А другой маленький, толстый, лысый. Он работает большим начальником в департаменте аудита и контроля.
И какая проблема?
Вчера они предложили мне выйти замуж. Вот я и думаю, кого мне выбрать?
А что ты хочешь? Со спортивным блондином у тебя будут красивые дети, а с лысым начальником у тебя будут деньги.
Вот я и думаю весь день. Чего я хочу? У блондина есть красота, а у лысого ум. У спортсмена есть здоровье, а у начальника деньги.
Марика, а о ком ты думаешь часто?
Конечно, о блондине. Но когда у меня нет денег, я думаю о лысом начальнике. А денег у меня никогда нет.
А сколько им лет?
Спортсмену 32 года, а начальнику 41 год.
Конечно, выходи замуж за начальника. А со спортсменом будешь встречаться 2-3 раза в неделю.
Ты думаешь, это нормально?
Я думаю, что это жизнь. Давай, звони лысому начальнику и говори, что ты согласна.
Okay, these dialogues are getting quite difficult. I have to admit, I'm not picking up everything that they're saying in the dialogues. If you can understand everything that they say, if you can understand every word that they say in the dialogues, then you're definitely doing very well. You're doing better than I am. I'm not able to pick up every word, but let's see what we can interpret here. So the woman speaking is named Marika. Here you see Umariki because that's the genitive form, but yeah, her name is Marika. And so the first question says, У Марики два друга. Marika has 2 friends. So what are they? First one says, лысый блондин, a bald blonde, и толстый инструктор по фитнесу, and a fat fitness instructor. Or alternatively, are the friends blondine instructor, so blonde instructor, и лысый конструктор, and bald constructor, like I guess a construction worker? Or are they a blondine instructor и лысый начальник, blonde instructor and bald head? So the correct answer is actually the last one, blonde instructor and bald nachalnik. Let me just see, hold on, what is nachalnik? Am I misunderstanding that word here? Let me just quickly, just want to make sure I don't have a wrong idea about what that word is. I mean, it's not that super important. It's not critical to the grammar, but oh, like a chief, like a like a head of department. I get it. Okay, not a bald, not bald head as in a head, like a anatomical head with no hair on it, but a bald person who happens to be head of his department. Okay. Они вчера предложили Марике. So they yesterday suggested. Предложили is kind of like suggested or proposed that they do something. What did they propose? Выйти замуж, so get married. Уйти за ужином, to go for dinner, or пойти в кино, to go to the kino, to the cinema. The correct answer here is the first one. They proposed to marry her. Выйти замуж. They wanted to both become her husbands. У блондина есть something, у лысого something else. So the blonde one has something. So the options here are fitness, красота, beauty, or здоровье, health. Beauty can also be applied to men. In this case, it's like a handsome man, like a good-looking man. So the blonde one is fit, good-looking, or healthy. And the bald one is, he has audit y control, audit and control. Like intelligence, or деньги, does he have money? According to the dialogue, the correct answer is the second one. So the blonde one is good looking, and the fat one is, I guess he's intelligent. That's a funny kind of word. Let me see. What do I get when I try to translate because I am just a bit skeptical about my understanding of that word. It's just a two-letter word, so it seems like it should be simple, but yeah, intelligence or wittiness. Okay, moving on. У спортсмена есть something, а у начальника something else. So the sportsman, the athlete, has, again, здоровье, health, жена, a wife, or, once again, здоровье, health. And then the manager, like the director or boss or whatever, has дети, children, бабушка, grandmother, or деньги, money. And I believe, according to the dialogue, the answer was the last one. So the athlete has health, and the head of department has money, which I guess makes sense. That seems to fit in with what you'd expect with those character types. And finally, у Марики, Marika has всегда нет денег, always has no money, никогда есть деньги, never has money, or oh, I see. All of these say never has money. The question is, which one is the correct way to say it? Yeah, the correct way to say it is the last one, никогда нет денег, which is a double negative. So the second one literally says never is money. The last one says never no money. But again, I think I've mentioned before, double negatives in Russian in this sense are not only common, but correct. So, никогда нет денег. So, Marika has never any money. Okay. Well, moving on, we have a second dialogue, and this one is more like the ones we've seen before, where we have to fill in the blanks. If you look at the options down here, though, you can see that it's going through several different kind of permutations or forms of cases. So, for example, up here we have это в дома. Here we have этому дому. Before we do this, let's go ahead and take a quick look down here, because again, we are going to be seeing these nouns in all the cases, right? So the cases that you want to look at are, well, all of them. I think they're all here. I think this section lists all the cases. Yeah, it does. So just as a quick review, for the genitive case, masculine and neuter nouns tend to put an a on the end. So drug becomes druga. For dative, you tend to put an u on the end, so drug becomes drugu. For accusative, you also tend to put an a or a ya on the end, so or a yeah, it varies, but seems like it's typical to put either a ya, an a, or a ya. And then for instrumental, you put and for prepositional, you put ye. So drug becomes drugom in instrumental and drugie in prepositional. So this is a useful table, which you'll probably want to come back to as we're going through the dialogue. Let's go ahead and do this. I'm not going to play it all the way through the first time. I guess I'll just, let's just play it and fill it in as we go. So let's get started.
Посмотрите направо. Вы видите этот старый дом.
Okay, so the vocabulary is also getting harder. Usually one of the hardest parts of learning any language is the vocabulary, and Russian is no exception. So she starts off by saying посмотрите, which is like a command to look, направо, to the right. So право is like on the право is basically by itself right, and then направо is like to the right. So look to the right. Вы видите, we see, or you see, этот старый дом, this old house. So it is, yeah, so here we go. Этот старый дом. This appears to be rendering things in the nominative case, because we don't add anything to the end. If it was genitive, it would be doma or domu. In dative, accusative, it would be doma also, I think. I'm a little surprised that, I'm not sure why you don't say doma, because it's actually saying you are seeing this old house, and so the house should then be in the accusative case. But unless I'm greatly mistaken, we're actually rendering it here in the nominative case. Don't know why, but anyway.
Этому дому уже 270 лет.
Okay, этому дому уже 200, so this house is already 270 years old. And remember, when you're saying how many years something has, or how old something is, or someone is, you use the dative case to say at this place, or at this person or thing, is this many years. So this is dative, and that's why it's этому дому, because again, looking at the dative case here, for masculine nouns like this, yeah, the adjective and the noun both add an u on the end. So starый дом becomes старому дому.
Раньше в этом доме жил известный писатель и поэт Александр Сергеевич Пушкин.
Okay. Раньше is before, like previously. So раньше, and then, so previously in this house. Now, how would we say this house? That is prepositional, right? I mentioned that for reporting position of being inside something like that, it's, it's the prepositional case. So she said old. No, she didn't say old house, she just said this house. So you add an on the adjective and then a ye to the noun. So это дом, this house, should become этом доме. Let's see, do we have an этом доме in the list here? Yes, we do. Этом доме is right here. So let's go ahead and put it in the blank there. And now we see the full sentence here. Раньше в этом доме, previously in this house, Gil, Gil. It's weird when I highlight it. It makes the text look a bit funny, probably because this text is this fill in the blank is here. Gil lived. So Gil известный писатель lived, famous writer. poet Alexander Sergeyevich Pushkin. So previously in this house lived famous writer and poet Alexander Sergeyevich Pushkin, who is indeed perhaps arguably the most famous writer in Russia itself. Outside of Russia, people like Tolstoy or Dostoevsky may be more famous, but within Russia itself, Pushkin is probably the single most towering literary and poetical figure. So, moving on.
А сейчас здесь музей-квартира поэта.
And now, здесь, here is музей-квартира поэта, museum apartment. This is a common thing in Russia to have museum apartments, meaning the actual apartment where the poet or writer or artist used to live. The actual apartment that was previously their residence has been turned into a museum. So you get to see their apartment in pretty much the same state as it was when the person lived there, and also the neighborhood. So you kind of, as you're going there, you get a feel for what kind of neighborhood it was, because obviously you have to walk through that neighborhood to get to the museum.
История этого дома очень интересная.
So the history of this house is very interesting. And what form do we want to use now? The history of this house. That is, if I'm not mistaken, that should be genitive. Yeah, it's genitive because it's of this house. It's the history belonging to this house. So if you say the history of this house, then the house is, linguistically speaking, the house is the owner, is the possessor of the history. So it should be then, if you're saying the history of this house, it's the history этого дома. I know that the highlighted red text at the end of the adjective there, it looks like OGO. That's usually a G, but in this context, for whatever reason, don't ask me why, the G is pronounced like a V, so it's ovo, not ogo. So you add ovo, and you add ovo to the adjective, and you add a to the noun. So we expect этого дома. And here we have этого дома right here. So, история этого дома очень интересная. The history of this house is very interesting.
Когда император России...
Okay, so the woman starts saying when the emperor of Russia, and then this tourist starts to cut her off.
Сколько лет этому дому?
Сколько лет этому дому? How old is this house? Well, you can see if you just look right down here, этому дому. So that's pretty straightforward. You don't need to, I mean, if you want, you can look it up here under dative and see, yeah, it's omu on the adjective and then u for the noun, but that's pretty obvious since it's written right below. So do we have an этому дому? Yes, we do. Here's an этому дому. By the way, the woman here is called the экскурсовод. And excursi in Russian, it's cognate to excursion in English. That's like a tour, like what you would call a city tour or something in English is called an excursi in English. Excursi in Russian. And then экскурсовод is the title given to like the tour guide.
Этому дому 270 лет.
So this house is 270 years old.
И вы говорите, что это старый дом?
And you say it's an old house?
Вот у меня в Швейцарии дом.
I have in Switzerland house. So in Switzerland I have a house.
Вот это старый дом.
And that's an old house.
Ему уже 400 лет.
It is 400 years old.
Извините, мы не в Швейцарии.
Excuse me, we're not in Switzerland.
Так вот, посмотрите налево.
So look to the left. So up here, направо is to the right, and now she's saying look налево, to the left.
Вы видите здание МИДа.
You see the здание МИД. This is a Russian acronym. I actually don't know what it stands for. It's the Russian acronym for the Ministry of External Affairs, like the Foreign Affairs Ministry. So, Ministry, foreign or international is like иностранный, so the I is probably for иностранный, and then D is whatever. I don't know what the D is, but it's the Ministry of Foreign. So it's the building for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or the Ministry of the Exterior.
Это пример советского конструктивизма.
It is the, not the first. You might think primer means first, like primary, but no, primer means example. So she says it's an example of Soviet construction.
Это очень необычное здание.
Oh boy, это очень... Okay, we have only one thing that sounds remotely like that, so we can put that in here. Необычное здание. But what does необычное здание mean? It means unusual building. So this is an unusual building.
Нет, я не понял. А в
No, I do not understand.
Москве есть старые дома?
In Moscow, there are now Старые дома. This is the only thing which looks remotely like what he said. In Moscow, there are old houses.
Этому городу сколько лет?
How old is this city? So, to the city, how many years?
Этому городу уже больше 860 лет.
So, what does she say? Этому городу. Yeah, that's right. Этому городу. So, to the city are already more than 860. Yeah. So, этому городу, once again, to the city, уже больше 860 years. So, the city is already more than 860 years old.
Для России это старый город.
For Russia, it's an old city.
Очень странно. Город старый, а старого дома нет.
Very strange. The city is old, but there are no old houses.
Как нет?
Как нет? How no? How not? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean there are no old houses?
А Московский Кремль?
What about the Moscow Kremlin?
Вы знаете, сколько Московскому Кремлю лет?
Okay, so you can see now the 5 remaining things are all different forms of Moskovsky Kreml, which is the Moscow Kremlin. So we need to figure out what forms these take. So, сколько the Kremlin лет? How many years does the Kremlin have? That would be, let's see, dative again. So let's look at the dative form. So the adjective should have omu or yemu, and then the noun should have u on the end. So let's take a look at what we have here. Oh, something a bit different. It's actually not like that. Hold on. What's going on there? Oh, it's this one. It's the third one. I was looking at the nouns, but so Moskovskomu becomes, yeah, you put omu on the end, but it's not Kremlu, but Kremliu. Is there a particular? Yeah, I think it just depends on what letter it probably just depends on what letter the noun ends in. So in this case, Kreml becomes not Kremlu, but Kremliu. So, вы знаете, сколько Московскому Кремлю лет? Do you know how many years the Moscow Kremlin has? Like how many years old it is?
Вы знаете, какая у Московского Кремля история?
Do you know what history it has? So here she's using u, and that should be then genitive, because when you're saying u for something, like I have or you have or it has, that becomes genitive. That's the genitive case. So I would expect them to see either an a or a ya on the end, and then ovo or yevo for the adjective, according to that table there. Let's see. So that should then be this one, right? Moskovskovo Kremlya, because it's the genitive case. Let me just make sure. Was that correct? She said, "U Moskovskovo Kremlya istoria." Yes, that is correct. So this is the genitive case because u Kremlya, at the Kremlin has history. So that's genitive.
Что вы знаете о Московском Кремле?
Okay, and here we have another form of the Kremlin. Now it's o, and remember the o about something is also, we also use the prepositional case for that. So o for a noun like this, then you put either or yem on the adjective, and then ye on the noun. So I'm looking for an and a ye, and here it is right here. So she says, "Что вы знаете о Московском Кремле?" What do you know about the Moscow Kremlin? Once again, prepositional case.
Вы были в Московском Кремле?
Вы были в Московском Кремле? Have you been in the Moscow Kremlin? And what case are we looking for here? I would guess once again prepositional, because prepositional is not only used for o, it's also used for being in something. So I think that we can just repeat Moskovskom Kremlye once more, right? I think that's correct. Yeah, Moskovskom Kremlye, because these are both o the Kremlin and the Kremlin. They're both prepositional.
А рядом с Московским Кремлем?
And finally, рядом с Kremlin, and nearby the Kremlin. And because it's s, we know that s usually uses or usually invokes the instrumental case. We can take a look down here. Yeah, prepositions s or рядом с. So s is with, and рядом с is kind of in the vicinity of. So you add to the adjective and or yem to the noun. So that fits with what we have here, Moskovskim Kremlem. And we filled in the last blank, and everything is correct. So let's just go ahead and listen to the end of the dialogue.
Кремль? А что это?
Итак, следующий памятник архитектуры – Московский Кремль. Пожалуйста, все идем в автобус.
Okay, so after the woman went on that huge rant about the Kremlin, then the tourist says, the Kremlin, but what's that? And then the woman gives up and says, okay, следующий, next, памятник архитектуры, monument of architecture, Moskovский Кремль is the Moscow Kremlin. Пожалуйста, все идем в автобус. Please, everyone go into the autobus, into the bus. I think Kreml probably takes slightly funny forms because it ends in the soft sign. It is, I'm pretty sure it's masculine. Is it masculine or neutral? Actually, I'm not sure if it's, I actually don't know. Is Kreml masculine or neutral? I don't think it matters too much in this context, but the forms are a little bit different than, like, see here, at this point it becomes Kremlyom, probably because of the soft sign on the end of the regular form, so. Okay, anyway. Okay, now here we have Посмотрите в интернете, look on the internet, and fill in the test. So this is actually not so much a test of language, it's more just a test of knowledge. And yeah, you will have to look up these answers online because there's no way you're going to know these. I think even most Russians wouldn't know this one off the tops of their heads. So this question is asking, где в России есть Кремль? Where in Russia is Kremlin? Now, you might just jump and say, well, in Moscow, obviously, right? Yes, there is a Kremlin in Moscow. I'll go ahead and check off Moscow. But this is a multiple choice question, so I can actually select multiple answers because there's not only a Kremlin in Moscow, there are actually several in Russia. The most famous one is in Moscow, but technically there are Kremlins in other cities as well. So we need to know which cities the Kremlin is in. So let's just go down the list. I have the answers here. I already went through it, so I'll just, let's see. So Moscow, of course, we know where Moscow is. Novgorod also has a Kremlin. Novgorod is not far from St. Petersburg. It's kind of, obviously, then north of Moscow. Kazan also has a Kremlin. Kazan is off to the east. It's not quite in Siberia, but it's getting close to Siberia. It's like a well-known city. But yeah, it's like well east of the more populated parts of Russia. Yaroslavl also has a Kremlin. It's kind of close to Moscow, a bit northeast of Moscow. Then we have Sochi. Sochi does not have a Kremlin. It's in the you probably know where Sochi is now because now it's famous for hosting the Olympics a few years ago. Before that, I think it was not as well known outside of Russia, but it's kind of in the south. It's probably a city with among the warmest weather in Russia because it's well south, like it's way off to the south around the Black Sea, I think. St. Petersburg, of course, St. Petersburg, the second biggest and second most important city in Russia, also does not have a Kremlin. Tula does have a Kremlin, though. Even though it's not that major or famous of a city, I don't think. It's a bit south of Moscow. In my opinion, not very well known, but what do I know? I'm not an expert on Russia, actually. Vladimir, not to be confused with Vladimir Putin. Vladimir also has a Kremlin, and it's also not that far from Moscow. Yakutsk does not. Yakutsk is way out there. It's one of the coldest cities in the world, actually. It's far, far off in northern Siberia, so it's really like one of the farthest cities in Russia. Ryazan does have a Kremlin, according to my notes. It's also not that far from Moscow. It's sort of in this ring of cities that surround Moscow, along with some of the others here in this list. Tver does have a Kremlin. It's also close to Moscow. Vladivostok is the most famous city in the Russian Far East. It's actually on the Pacific Ocean, not far from China and North Korea, not far from the borders with those countries. And yes, Russia has a border with North Korea, in case you didn't know. So Vladivostok is a pretty important, pretty famous city because it's like the biggest city in the Russian Far East on the East Coast, but it does not have a Kremlin. Samara is also off to the east, kind of around the same area as Kazan. It also does not have a Kremlin. Arkhangelsk, which translates to Archangel, is also way to the north. It's a very cold city. It's like on the northern shore of Russia. And then finally, Murmansk is even farther north. I believe Murmansk is the biggest city within the Arctic Circle in the whole world. Murmansk is the biggest city that's actually inside the Arctic Circle in the whole entire world. I think it has something like 500,000 people or something like a few 100,000. But it also does not have a Kremlin. So these last four cities here in the list all do not have Kremlins. But that's not the end of this exercise. We have two more questions. This one is fairly simple. Kreml это, so Kremlin is dom, house, krepost, a fortress, or zamok, castle. Well, you can see it as a castle as well. I mean, very often castles and fortresses are kind of combined into one, but in this context, I guess a Kremlin is considered more of a fortress than a castle, so it's a krepost. And finally, in the Moscow Kremlin works Premier Minister, the Prime Minister, Parliament, the Parliament, or the President. Well, I guess it's the famous President Vladimir Putin, whom we all know. And yes, indeed, those were the correct answers. So yeah, there you go. And now here again we come to this, which we've already seen. I've already come back here several times. This is a pretty good reference because here we see, again, all the 6 cases summed up. This is not any information on feminine nouns or plurals. You need a different reference for that. But this is actually a pretty good reference. This, you may find yourself coming back here time and time again because this is a pretty good reference for summing up the basic forms for all 6 cases for obviously masculine and neuter nouns. So pretty good reference here. I like it. I like that they're finally summing it up here. I think that we could have benefited from something like this a little earlier, but I guess they didn't want to confuse people too much. They didn't want to pile on too much information on the people all at once. But you can see here also very usefully what prepositions invoke these cases. So here under the prepositional case, you can see prepositions like v, na, or o, or ob, which it says here. Finally, here it says you use ob if the following noun starts with a vowel. Those invoke the prepositional case. S, nad, po, za, между, перед all invoke instrumental. V and na can also invoke accusative in the sense of going into or onto something, not already being in or on something, but in the process of going into or onto something. Dative, ka, and po are dative, yeah, and then u, biz, and so on are genitive. And then the regular form without any special prepositions is nominative. So there you go. Very good reference. I like it very much. I like this reference. I think that we could have benefited from having something like that a little earlier in these lessons, but oh well. We're here now and we've made a lot of progress already, so let's see. So now we need to fill in the blanks. So это большой театр, it's a big theater, and this is the nominative case because the theater is the subject of the sentence, actually. Okolo больш театр. So, okolo is like nearby. Do we have that here? Yes, okolo appears here under genitive, and even though it means nearby, for whatever reason it takes the genitive case, so we would put ovo or yevo on the adjective and then a or ya on the noun. So how do you know which one you use? I guess you just kind of have to know. You just sort of have to, you have to look it up if you're not sure. But it's bolshovo teatra, genitive case. So около большого театра встречаются влюбленные. Near the big theater are lovers? Okay. Don't know. Рядом с okay, рядом с, so this was, yes, instrumental. So you put im on the adjective and then or yem on the noun. So this becomes большим театром. Рядом с большим театром находится ЦУМ. Near the Bolshoi Theater is located CUM. CUM is Central, what does it stand for? The C, I believe, is Central, central, and then what is, I don't remember what that is, but it's the big shopping center. There's a big shopping mall, famous shopping mall in Moscow called CUM, and I guess it's close to the Bolshoi Theater, the big theater. So, moving on. Все туристы хотят посмотреть балет. So all tourists want to see the ballet in the Bolshoi Theater, and this should be so it's the, so it's reporting the position, it's reporting the location of the ballet in the Bolshoi Theater, so it should be then prepositional, and we put then or yem on the adjective and ye on the noun. So teatre, that's pretty obvious, and then bolshom. Again, I don't know how you're supposed to know what's bolshom. How do you know what's bolshom or bolshem? I guess you just kind of have to know. Have to know it for each word, because each word may be a bit different. Сегодня вечером мы идем so today evening, so tonight we go into the Большой театр. And here we're using the, but it's accusative because we're not saying that we are. If you use this in the dative case, going in the Большой театр, that literally means that you're walking around inside the Большой театр. And actually, that wouldn't really make sense. You'd use a different verb then. You'd use a different verb of motion. In some other languages with the dative and accusative cases, you can say maybe walking in the theater in dative case, and that doesn't mean that you're going into the theater. It literally means that you're walking around inside the theater. But here it's pretty clear this means that you are walking into the theater. So not reporting your location in the theater, but saying that you're in the act of walking into the theater. And so it's not dative, it's not prepositional, it is accusative. And accusative here you add ovo or yevo to the adjective, and then a or ya to the noun. So what does Большой театр become in this case? It becomes you don't do anything because it's an inanimate object. So for persons or animate nouns, you make changes. Like I guess if it's like if it's an animal, for example. So basically, if it's a person or an animal, you make that change. But actually, for an inanimate object, which a theater is just a building. It's not an animate object. You don't change the. You actually don't make any changes. You don't change the noun at all. So it remains theater. You don't put anything in the box on the right. And then for Bolshoi, you just put the normal form as in Bolshoi театр. You don't change anything because it's an inanimate object. So in the accusative case, for an inanimate object, you don't change the adjective or the noun. Я иду к Большой театр. So now, к invokes the dative, as I think you'll see here. Yeah, under dative, k is dative. So now we add omu or yemu to the adjective, and then u or you to the noun. That means that Большой театр becomes Большому театру, which does seem to agree with the information given here on the dative case. Okay. So now in the Большой театр, so in the theater, so once again this is prepositional because we're reporting the location of something. So in the theater we can actually we can just borrow these from here, I think, because it's the same case. It should be, once again, Большом театре, because it's the same as in number 4. It's the prepositional case because it's commenting on something that's in the theater. So, в Большом театре сегодня премьера опер. At the Bolshoi Theater today, premiere opera. I believe that means the premiere of the opera, so the first opening of the opera. And finally, сейчас Большой театр уже открыт после реставрации. So actually the theater is the subject in this case because it's saying the theater is already open. So you don't need to use the nominative form here, so I'll just go ahead and copy and paste that there. That should be correct then. Yeah, Большой театр уже открыт, the big theater is already open, после реставрации, after restorations. So there we go. That wasn't too bad. That was pretty straightforward, just filling in the blanks with the different cases. But we're not done yet. That was only one of 4 exercises here. Now we have это красивый парк. It's a beautiful park. And so now we have to fill in more of these. Рядом с красивый парк. So рядом с is instrumental. So we put in, what do we put in for the beautiful park? We put in красивым парком. Yes, because it's instrumental. Рядом с красивым парком находится наш дом. Next to the beautiful park is located our house. Около красивого... yeah, hold on. Около is... What do we do with около? That was... yeah, genitive. So we add ovo and so красивый парк becomes красового парка. Once again, for genitive, we add ovo and a. So, около красивого парка есть станция метро. Next to the beautiful park, or near the beautiful park, is the station metro, the metro station, subway station, underground station. Между, so между is between. What do we... Okay, so между invokes the instrumental case as well. So, между красивый парк и метро находится маленькая улица. So, between the beautiful park and the metro, there is a small street. And for instrumental, we already had instrumental in the... yeah, we already had instrumental in the first one, so we can just copy and paste these. It's once again and right? Между красивым парком. Yes, I believe that's correct. Мама часто говорила о красивом... So, мама часто used to говорила, used to talk about the beautiful park. Okay, well, о is prepositional, and so красивый парк in prepositional becomes красивом парке. Because for prepositional, you add or yem to the adjective and then ye to the noun. So, красивом парке. В красивый парк. So now in the park, so this should once again be prepositional because we're reporting the location of something in the park. В красивый парк всегда много людей. In the beautiful park, there are always many people. And actually, I think I just copy and paste these because it's the same case. Same case should be the same form. Перед красивый парк стоит супермаркет. So перед is in front of. In front of the beautiful park is a supermarket. So перед is which case? Instrumental. So did we already have instrumental? Yes, we did. In number 2, we already had instrumental. So we can just copy and paste that because it's the same case, should be the same. Перед красивым парком стоит супермаркет. In front of the beautiful park is a supermarket. And finally, я люблю, I like or I love this beautiful park. And I guess that's probably accusative because to love something is like, I love the park. The park is the object. It's the direct object of my love. And so it's it should be the accusative case then. But for accusative cases, for nouns like this, remember we don't do anything special. We just take the same form as the nominative form. So, я люблю этот красивый парк. Because the park is also an inanimate object. If you look once again under accusative, we don't make any special changes for inanimate nouns. And the park is not a living thing. It's not an animal. So, okay, это маленькое окно. Aha, now we use a neuter noun, something that ends in o. So let's see if we get anything a bit different. It's a small window. Not маленькое, so on the this should then be this should be prepositional, right? Because it's reporting the location of something on the window. So, на маленькое окно стоят цветы. There are flowers. Are there really flowers on the window? I don't think you can put flowers on top of a window unless it's somehow a horizontal window, which doesn't you wouldn't normally have. Do they mean like maybe pictures of flowers? Like are there stickers of flowers on the panes of the window? I don't know. But this is still, I'm pretty sure this is still prepositional because we're reporting that the flowers are on the window. Even if it doesn't make any sense, linguistically at least the flowers are on the window. So this should then be prepositional. So we add and, so we add to the adjective and ye to the noun. So na malenkom oknie. Yeah, that should be correct. Stoit svieti. Okay. Nad is then, nad means above, but do we use, no, we don't use, so it's kind of silly because once again we're reporting the position of the something, something is above the window, but we don't use the, yeah, here it is. We don't use prepositional for that. We use instrumental for that. Don't ask me why, just a curiosity of the language. So nad invokes the instrumental case, so we add im or lim to the adjective and then or yem to the noun. So malenkoy okno becomes malenkim oknom. Yeah, because instrumental you add im and then or yem. In this case you add Na malenkim oknom solnse. So the sun is above the sun is over the small window. Okay. Okolo malink okolo is next to, I believe. So okolo is, yeah, once again genitive, so we should add yevo and ya to the objects, right? No, we add ovo and then a. Okay, I see. So we add ovo a. So okolo malienkovo okna stol. So next to the small window stands a table. Между маленькое окно и стол стоит стул. Between the small window and the table there is a chair. Don't mix these up. Stol is table and stool is chair. So между is instrumental. So we've already had instrumental for the window before, haven't we? I think so. Was not one of these, yeah, nud. Nud is instrumental, so actually we can just copy and paste these. Между маленьким окном и, and also stolom. Stol it also becomes in the, it comes into the same case. So между маленьким окном и stolom. Stool. Once again, between the window and the table is a chair. Перед. Again, that's kind of like in front of. Перед. So in front of the small window stoит мальчик, stands a boy. И смотрит okay, so in front of the small window stands a boy and he looks out the window. So перед takes once again instrumental. So I think we can just copy and paste these same forms again because it's the same case. But the question then is, what do we do for v okno? He looks through the window. It's not prepositional because he's not in the window. If you use prepositional, that would imply that the boy is in the window, which is clearly not the case. He's not inside the window, so we use the in the other sense, which is actually this one, accusative. And again, because the window is an inanimate object, we don't make any special changes for it. So it should be the same. It should be маленькое окно. Oh, wait. Why did I think I was at the end? That's not where I put it in. It's up here. Окно. So I'm only on number 6. For some reason I thought I was on the last one. Number 6. Перед маленьким окном стоит мальчик и смотрит в окно. So in front of the small window stands a boy, and he looks out the window. And again, he's not inside the window. He's looking out through the window. So we use accusative case, and for a window, we don't make any special changes because you don't make any special changes for an inanimate object in the accusative case. Okay, он не любит это He does not like this small window. This is once again, I think, accusative case because it's saying that the boy doesn't like the window, or somebody doesn't like the window. So once again, we don't make any special changes because it's accusative case on an inanimate object. So it remains маленькое окно. Okay, now we're on the last one. Сейчас он идет от маленькое окно. So now he goes from the small window. So от to move away from, or to come from somewhere. This should be then genitive, right? I believe this is genitive. So yeah, so for the genitive case, did we have the genitive case here already? I think, yeah, okolo is also genitive, so we can just take the form from okolo. So we'll copy and paste this from okolo, and we end up with сейчас он идет от маленького окна. Now he walks from the small window. And finally, the final set, это молодой человек. This is a young person, a young human being. Кто знает этого so who knows this young man? And I think, hold on, what do we do here? We, yes, I see. So this is, again, accusative because we're saying somebody knows, or does somebody know this young person? But because this is a person, we break from the form. In the 3 previous exercises, we were dealing with inanimate objects. We had the window, the park, and the theater, I believe, and those were all inanimate objects. But now we have a person, and so we do make a change in the accusative case. We add ovo to the adjective and a to the noun. So it becomes different now. Молодого человека. Кто знает этого молодого человека? Who knows this young person? You can also see here этого becomes этого because it's also the same deal. Кто ходил с young person в кино вчера вечером? So who went with the young person into the cinema yesterday evening, last night? So it's s, it should then be instrumental, and so you add im and right? Do we add im and Yes, we do. Молодым человеком. Кто ходил с молодым человеком в кино вчера вечером? Who went with young person in cinema yesterday evening? Почему ты идешь к So why do you go to the young person? К is dative, so should be then omo and u, right? So it becomes молодому человеку. Почему ты идешь к молодому человеку? Why do you go to the young person? U, so here we have, once again, genitive. The young person has something. Genitive becomes, you add ovo and a. So, is that correct? Yes, looks correct. Молодого человека. У молодого человека есть машина. Does the young person have a car? Кто говорил о okay, so о is prepositional, so we add and ye. So add and ye. Кто говорил о молодом человеке? Who spoke about the young man? And here we have a s, so we know that s, we already had a s here, so I'll just copy and paste these. That should be correct. Is that correct? I believe that's correct. Кто стоит рядом с молодым человеком? Who stands nearby the young man? And finally, ты можешь жить без, so, can you live without the young person? And biz, I believe, is also genitive. Yes, biz is genitive. So what do we have here that's genitive? Well, we know this one is genitive because it's u, so the young man or the young person has something. So I'll just copy and paste these here and hope that it's correct. And indeed, everything there was correct. That could be a very difficult exercise if you don't know exactly what forms the words take. You could spend a very long time with that. As it is, I think I spent quite a while with that, and I already knew the answers. You could spend an extremely long time with this exercise if you're not sure what each word takes. But there you go. Now you have the answers. And just for a quick review, I'll click through them again. Here are the answers for 1, answers for 2, answers for 3, and answers for 4. Okay, now I'm going to, this actually, we don't do anything with this in number 5. Number 5 is just listen and read. So I'll go ahead and play it through, and then I'll try to translate afterwards.
Здравствуй, мой дорогой брат. Как я скучаю по тебе. У меня много новостей для тебя. Месяц назад я встретила Боба. Боб – это самый прекрасный парень в мире. Мы с Бобом ходили в кино и в кафе. Бобу 19 лет, и он студент в колледже. У Боба есть машина. Мы ездили в национальный парк неделю назад. Было здорово, но я думаю, что родители не любят Боба. Они не хотят, чтобы я гуляла с Бобом. Может, ты скажешь им, что он хороший парень? Потому что я уже не могу жить без Боба. Я думаю о Бобе каждый день и каждую минуту. Вот, пишу сейчас тебе, а думаю о Бобе. Как ты думаешь, я уже люблю Боба? Ой, извини, что не спросила, как у тебя дела. Джон, прости, я должна бежать. Боб ждет меня на улице. Сейчас мы с Бобом поедем в кафе. Пока, целую тебя, твоя Джина.
Ah, young love, so carefree sometimes. So, yeah, so this is a letter from a woman to her brother about the guy whom she apparently is obsessed with. So, I like that picture. If you look in the picture, you can see that Bob, the guy she's in love with, is driving, and she's throwing up her hands in the air because she's so excited to be in the car with Bob. Are those her legs in the windshield? I don't know. Anyway, so I'll try to translate. Здравствуйте, мой дорогой брат. Hello, my dear brother. Как я скучаю по тебе. How I miss you. У меня много новостей для тебя. I have many news for you, many new things to report to you. Месяц назад я встретила Боба. A month ago, I met Bob. Bob – это самый прекрасный парень в мире. Bob is the most beautiful парень. What's парень? I should have translated this ahead of time because I actually don't know. What is parень? Hold on, let me see if I can get a translation of this quickly. Oh, it just means it's like guy. Most beautiful, so like most handsome guy in the world. Мы с Бобом ходили в кино и в кафе. We went with Bob into the cinema and into the cafe. Бобу 19 лет, Bob is 19 years old, и он студент в колледже, and he's a student in college. У У Боба есть машина. Bob has a car. Мы ездили в национальный парк неделю назад. We went to the national park last week. Было здорово. It was great. Но я думаю, что родители не любят Боба. But I think that parents don't like Bob. I guess my parents. I guess our parents probably, since she's writing to her brother. So I guess our parents don't like Bob. Они не хотят, чтобы я гуляла с Бобом. They don't want that I гуляли. They don't want that I stay with Bob. Hold on, what's гуляли? They didn't like that I went walking with Bob. Может, ты скажешь им, что он хороший парень? Maybe you can tell them that he's a good guy. Потому что я уже не могу жить без Боба. Because I already don't want to live without Bob. Я думаю о Бобе каждый день и каждую минуту. I think about Bob every day and every minute. Вот пишу сейчас тебе, а думаю о Бобе. Now I write to you, but think about Bob. Как ты думаешь, я уже люблю Боба? What do you think? Do I already love Bob? Ой, извини, что не спросила, как у тебя дела. Oh, sorry that I didn't ask how you are doing. John, прости, я должен бежать. John, now I have to run. Bob ждет меня на улице. Bob is waiting for me outside. Сейчас мы Бобом поедем в кафе. Now we go with Bob into a cafe. Пока целую тебя. Bye, I kiss you. Твой Gina, your Gina. So Gina is clearly quite infatuated with Mr. Bob. But now that we have witnessed this wonderful spectacle of young love, we need to fill in the blanks. And the blanks are as follows. So, first of all, месяц назад Gina встретила Bob. So this is, hold on, this is saying she met Bob, right? So it should be, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it should be accusative because she met him. And so since Bob is a person and not an inanimate object, then you add a to Bob. So he becomes Boba. If I can find a, there we go, Boba. Anis Bob, so s is with, that is pretty much always instrumental. So Bob becomes Bobom. Bobom, 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 Bobom. Where's O? There's O. So Bobom. Ходили в кино и в кафе. They actually, Ani is they. So they, with Bob, went into cinema and into cafe. Bob is 19 years old, so that's dative in Russian. So you add u to the noun. So this becomes Bobu. Bobu, 19 years. Babu, bababoy. Родители не любят Bob. And once again, they don't like Bob. Should be the same. It should be accusative because he's the direct target of the noun like. So it should be Baba. Они не хотят, чтобы Gina гуляла с Bob. And once again, s is instrumental, and so it's s Bobom. I'll just go ahead and copy and paste that from there. Она не может жить без Bob. So she does not want to live without Bob. And без is, yes, it's genitive, so it's, once again, Boba. Без Boba. Она думает о Bob. She thinks about Bob, or is, of course, prepositional, and so you add ye to the noun. And она думает о Бобе каждую минуту. She thinks about Bob every minute. Она, наверное, уже любит Bob. Maybe she already loves Bob. And once again, accusative, direct direct object of the verb, so it's boba. And finally, сейчас они с Боб поедут в кафе. So once again, with Bob, it's bobom. There we go. That was pretty straightforward. That was definitely a lot easier than the previous ones. I think this is kind of a cool down period. I think they're winding us down here at the end. After all that strenuous exercise that we had in the previous exercises, now we have a much simpler exercise here at the very end. And now this is the last one. We just have 5 prepositions to drag in. Should be pretty straightforward. Let's see. Gina ездила. So Gina went, Bob, into the national park, probably with Bob. So I'll say с Бобом. She went with Bob. Она не может жить something Bob. She does not want to live без Боба, without Bob. Боба есть машина. Bob is car. Well, not that Bob is a car, but у Боба есть машина. At Bob is a car. Bob has a car. Gina думает something Бобе. Gina думает о Бобе каждую минуту. She thinks about Bob. And here at the very bottom, it seems that for whatever reason, the site is cutting off the text a bit, but hold on. Ye something... Why can I not see that? Hold on, let me see if I can copy and paste that and put that into another window just so I can read it. Ей нравится быть something Бобом. She likes to be something Bob. Obviously, she likes to be with Bob. So let's put s in there. And there we go. That was it. Lesson completed. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been lesson 22, all about different cases with masculine and neuter nouns. So once again, I hope that the cases are all familiar to all of you by now. The cases are not no stranger to us. We've seen all these 6 cases, all of Russian's 6 cases in action before. This is, as I said at the beginning, just kind of a summary. It's sort of a bringing together of all the different cases so that we can see them acting on masculine and neuter nouns and do lots of practice, get lots of practice in formatting them for masculine and neuter nouns. Now we've had lots of practice. I think this is a good lesson to come back to later if you forget any of this stuff, because this is the lesson that kind of tells you everything. This is all about all the cases for masculine and neuter nouns all in one lesson. So if you find yourself forgetting this stuff, this is a good lesson to come back to because, first of all, you have this huge reference here. It lists the different prepositions and the different forms for all 6 cases, and it also gives you lots of practice with formatting both adjectives and nouns for these different cases. So that was that. That was lesson 22. Thanks for watching, everyone. And if we take a sneak peek ahead, we see that next time we'll continue with masculine neuter neuter nouns, talking about possessive pronouns, and then after that we'll move on to feminine nouns. So this has been lots of casework with masculine and neuter nouns. We'll see you next time, folks. Thanks for watching, and keep learning Russian. Ta-ta for now.